Now, everything that I built for the video I'm about ready to show you here really is ran on the backside. And so again, like I mentioned to you, some manufacturers, your connectivity, setting up your credentials might be actually done on the cloud. It's not even physically done on the device. And that's the case for Trimble TerraFlex. I have a map here that's called MTSRN test that was built for TerraFlex. And inside this map or cloud is where I manage my connections, okay? And so once this comes up over here, if I hit the menu, there is a setting called positioning. And under positioning, there's where you build real-time sources. So I have one built here, but I'm going to go ahead and manually create one. So you see how that would be done. And so you give it a name. And so I'm going to call this MSRTN underscore VRS. So I know that I'm using a VRS correction, not a single base. If you know you were mounting to a single base, then I would recommend something like that. Again, that's all explained in this wonderful FAQ that I would encourage everybody to read in detail. And then here, we're going to use internet. And then I would have to hit the cog and then say, is this a direct connection? So that's just an IP and a port. But in our case, remember, we're following the international standard of NTRIP, which is corrections of RTCM over IP. And so the URL would be that IP that was shown to you at the beginning, 3.23.213.134. The port is 2101. And I could load the NTRIP source. And this is what I said. Some manufacturers can load it and some won't. And then that's why you'll have to know how to grab that from looking at the FAQ, right? But we were able to load it. And then in this case, remember, based on my map, I'm working in Southwest MT. So I would want to grab that. So again, I'll have to plug in my username. So it's Frontier P23. And then the password. And again, make sure you are double checking your IP, your port, your credentials, right? And then for those TerraFlex users, I would not recommend checking authenticate details entered by the field user, because that will require the field user every single time to have to plug this in, and that could be a typo and prevent them from being successful. And then here, I'm going to go ahead and load that source again and choose that right one, which was south, clear down here, sorry. Southwest, Q, A, B, C, D, U, V, W, right there, southwest. And then, so that's the right one, southwest. And then that made me have to type this back in again, sorry. Tier 23. And make sure that's correct. Select the datum, and that is on NAD 83, 2011. Right there, and hit save. And then you could say a fallback source could be space-based augmentation system, which is WAAS in the United States, Wide Area Augmentation System, and give it a description if you wanted to. And then, by the way, you would usually want to make that compatible with all your workspaces. So now it's available to all your previous maps that you had, okay? And so then I hit save, and now I've built these two, okay? So why is that important is because now when I close this up and I launch my TerraFlex app, you're going to see that I have these real-time sources available to me. So I hit the menu, and then I go down to settings. And then again here, I'm going to pause. You have to make sure you're not pointing to your internal device. You're pointing to the right receiver, because if that's set internal, your phone is not capable of hitting the MTSRN, but at least today. In the future, sometime in the future, that might change. If you haven't pay attention to the news, Trimble RTX has cut a deal with Qualcomm on the next Snapdragon chip, and you might see RTX enabled on some phones in the future. But as of today, that it has to be an external receiver, and that could be a Trimble receiver again, or some other receiver that you're using. But in this case, this is a Trimble piece of software, making sure I'm using the right receiver that allows for this. And you notice that now I have a Catalyst survey and that real-time configuration available. If that said internal, I would lose all of that. I would not see any of those settings available, okay? So it does say the right thing. And because of that, these two things are available, okay? See, I lost all of those things, see? So hopefully that's helpful. And now by choosing the receiver that supports real-time corrections, now I get to choose a real-time source, and that's why I made it available to all my maps. And then I'm going to choose that real-time source. And again, remember, for DA2s, when you pay for a DA2, you do have access to Trimble Corrections Hub, but you'll get way better corrections working locally inside Montana with Montana VRS. And we've done plenty of testing on that. And now I'm going to choose the MTSRN. And that allows me then now to not use Trimble Corrections Hub, but use the MTSRN, which is actually pulling from the right VRS, right? And then and then honestly, I would probably have named that in the real world as MTSRN underscore Southwest or Northwest or North Central in my pull downs. That way I know I'm using the correct VRS. Now, if I hit the menu and go to location status, it won't lie. It says I'm connected, and I'm already, by the time I did all of that video, it was already humming at real-time corrections. And that's because Kyle and I built this first with TMM and field maps. That receiver was already outside and hot. It had not lost initialization. And so therefore, by the time I switched into TerraFlex, it was already humming. Sometimes you might see it just like field maps be coming down, coming down, coming down. And then again, up here in the upper right, it doesn't lie. It shows you the position, and you're actually able to hit that icon up there in the upper left, and it would take you into that location status information, okay? Or you can go home and again, hit the menu and go back to location status to see your latency. See 2 seconds latency clear down to the bottom. I'll slow down right here. And it was 14, 15 seconds connection, all of that. Super important information.